Ahoy there, Crash fans. Welcome to a brand new episode. It's me, J-Mac, and
me, Keith Webb, also known as the Webb Star.
And we're here to talk about a brand new...
We made an error already.
So.
I'm J-Mac. That's why I put the hat on.
Oh, right, I can see that. I read that and I thought that was my name.
J-Mac.
Right.
This, of course, is Keith Webb.
I'm really Keith Webb.
Also known as...
the Webb Star.
And also known as the Duke of Leicester.
Why not? Yeah, I guess.
What are we going to talk about today, Keith?
So today we're going to talk about the battleship, the High Seas Hijinks battleship.
Now, this is going to be interesting for me because I had absolutely nothing to do with this level whatsoever.
Right, that's why it's one of the best levels of the game.
Well, actually, I think there is a video out there someone did where they did say it was even better than Ant Agony.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which,
right.
yeah, a little bit. Still hurts, to be quite honest.
Okay.
But I'm going to...
So this is torture for John.
It is a bit. But Crash Twinsanity's best level, according to...
one person.
Some person on the internet.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so so the battleship. So let's bring up some concept art quickly, and we'll talk through that. So here we have the initial. You've all seen this concept art. I just point out here that in this slightly higher res version,
I don't think I've seen it.
the name was the Annihilator. So
is that a 2 on the end?
I think it's
Annihilator 1.
Annihilator 1. Yeah, it might be 2, but I think it's 1. And we can see on the slightly higher res version, here's Engine there with his bomb, for some reason hunting a shark.
Why is there so many bombs in this game?
I don't know. It's obviously...
Cortex throws bombs, Engine throws bombs in the concept art.
This game is the bomb. Yeah. Do they still use that term? No.
I think that no one's used that since 2005.
Right. But always from the very start, the entrance was going to be in this side here, and you can see it was blocked up by TNT crates, nitro crates there, and then we got the slightly higher,
that's
more
better,
refined version, which you've seen here, shark on there, and what you'll notice is that the battleship, obviously there's so much detail here, but in the actual released version, you're pretty much just in this area of the boat. You don't really tend to go up there too much. We'll talk about that in a second, whether that was always the case or whether it changed throughout.
Was this you that did this?
Yeah, so I did this one, throughout production. So this is one that I did then. We'll have a look at a brand new piece that I don't think anyone's ever seen. This will be Rich Alban did this one. So again,
that is definite Rich.
Yeah,
work.
That's a Rich thing. So you can see nice little huts up here. Just add that extra kind of flavour to it. A little.
That is a funky helicopter.
This wheel here is interesting. I don't know if it appears in mine too. Yeah, it does. There, and we'll talk about that too because that featured in the gameplay idea later on.
That looks more like a submarine to me.
It does, yeah.
Reminds me of the Yellow Submarine.
Right. Cool, and it's even got those. I think these were taken from some kind of Charles Zambellis type drawing. I think there were some references in there. I'm not sure from the earlier Crash games. Yeah, tried to.
Let's move on.
Yeah, so that's the concept art. So we're going to move on to the next step now. So here we go, John. So here's some footage from the prototype version from February 2004 that John Burton, who was the
big boss man
of Traverse Tales.
Yeah.
He found some old prototype discs a few years ago, so he posted some footage on it. This is from February 2004, so about 6 months before the release of the game. So we can have a quick look here, and what I'll do afterwards is I'll post some edited footage to compare them side by side. But just quickly, we have the initial run, the initial approach. You can't.
Is that all different?
Yeah, this is all different. So the battleship itself is blocked off. The view there is blocked off.
Right.
Later on, we'll see that you can see it. So this is in the actual released version.
Yeah.
There you can see nice open space.
Nice view of what's to come.
Yeah, so there you go. The entrance again is off here. We'll go around.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah, go.
Keith, do you think maybe we could have put a few more nitro crates?
I don't know. I
in
think,
that section.
I think we could have. No, I think maybe a few.
I'd say there's only about 40 nitro crates.
Yeah.
What were you
Do you know who did? Oh, I didn't do this. I didn't do this. Do you know who did this? I think it was probably
Steve Riding.
Yeah, it was probably Steve Riding. So obviously just to pack more gameplay in.
Nitro crates is gameplay.
Yeah. So anytime you see an area which is rammed with nitro or TNT crates, that was a I was going to say that was a last minute thing, which is probably right, because if we look at the prototype version,
We let
there'll be nothing.
unfortunately someone showed Steve Riding, who was our Traveller's Tales
Yeah.
Octopus Studio manager, how to use the crate placement tool. And as soon as we did that, he was like, don't worry lads,
Yeah,
I'll
he's
place
got
all the crates
process.
in the game. And so this is why we now have
Thousands of
sections
crates.
with 40 Nitro crates in
Everywhere.
one place.
So basically what I'm going to do now is cut in some footage, and basically what it is in the original prototype and the release version, Battleship is essentially just 5 rooms of various different obstacles arranged in a linear way with a boss fight and the walrus fight. So I'm going to cut those in now, comparison time, and we're going to talk about it when we get back. So as I mentioned earlier, the approach to the Battleship in the prototype slightly different. You got loads of ice corridors blocking your view, and you got an area where you have to push in the TNT barrel to blow up the entrance. And then you go in, and then when you're in the main entrance area, you head off to the left in both areas. But in the prototype, you've got loads of oil, and the final release is much more mechanical. Room 1, very different. In the prototype, you got loads of crosswalks and platypus enemies, and then in the release version, you got these pistons and these swinging rhinos. Room 2. Pretty similar, with the missiles on the floor, engine shooting off the rockets. Visually, obviously, it looks different, and this middle section here, again, is different. You've got diagonal stairs with the rhinos. Room 3, very similar layout, just visually different, but you've got these spinning bag areas. Room 4 is very different in the final release. You've got this water area with these kind of revolving platforms, whereas the prototype, you've got these missiles sticking in the floor. Then room 5, I think this one is quite similar again, missiles on the floor, and then here's where you got the missile platforms to jump on, diagonal floor again at the end. Then as you come out of room 5 in the prototype, you head off to the left to enter the walrus chase, whereas in the release version you go straight to the boss fight, whereas in the prototype those are flipped over, where you have the boss fight after the walrus chase and the walrus chase after the boss fight in the released version. Visually they again look quite different.
So Keith, I can't help noticing these mice.
Yeah, these little rats, yeah?
I said I didn't work on this level,
You didn't,
but
no.
I made those mice
Whoa,
for the boiler room
for the
level.
boiler room, and then
Also, I made that spinny blue thing for the boiler room level.
Wow, was it all stolen and put in here?
I'd like to say that I gave my permission for my boiler room assets to be put in the battleship, but I'd be lying.
Wow.
I didn't know this was happening. Well, obviously I knew 20 years ago, but we had a habit of making things for one level, and if it worked, we just put it everywhere.
Yeah.
They actually work a bit differently here, though.
Yeah. So I think even in the final game, they work differently too. But you can see there's a platypus as well who was cut out of the final game. So
was he?
Yeah. I don't think he appears everywhere. So anyway, so he appears here.
Did that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just...
Let's watch it. There's a lot of oil in the
this death
prototype.
animation has Nicola written all over it.
Right.
Boing.
Cool.
Keith,
Yes, John.
why aren't we knocking him over and then use his fat stomach as a
Thing,
trampoline?
I don't know.
You've missed. You've not read Crash Gameplay
I didn't
Design
this.
101.
I didn't design this, John. Right. So there we go. So yeah, cool. And we're just quickly going to talk about the boss fight here. So this is the one again made into the final game. You got Engine here on the crow's nest, chucking little crates to blow himself
Can't
up.
help getting a little bit of deja vu from this boss fight, Keith.
Because it's running around in circles.
Running round in circles
With Engine in the middle.
with Engine in the middle and rockets getting shot at Crash Bandicoot.
So anybody look at last episode to see what John's talking about. But yeah, obviously there was a theme of having circular.
It's basically the only thing we could get working really well. So we tended to, anytime we did something that worked, we just kind of used it over and over again.
And here's one example of something that maybe didn't quite work. So this is the boss fight that made it into the game. The prototype boss fight, very, very different. It's, I don't think it's even properly fleshed out here, but we have Engine in his little area at the top of the ship firing missiles at you, and you literally just, that's the old one there, you literally just spin them back. So I don't think this was properly fleshed out.
I remember seeing this,
Yeah.
but I can't remember anyone talking about why we needed to change it.
Yeah, or why we did change it. It's interesting.
I mean, what's happening now?
Yeah,
Nothing.
Obviously. Yeah, this is obviously wasn't properly fleshed out, but that was the alternate boss fight. So yeah, very, very interesting.
What? Keith, I think the Crash fans out there might be interested to know why Crash flaps around in the air.
I thought it was intentional. Was it not intentional?
It's not intentional.
Wow.
What's happening is we're trying to stream this next level off the disc.
Okay.
And if it doesn't stream in quickly enough for whatever reason, we have to do something to hold things up. Otherwise, the game's going to crash. And a very bad example of it is here when we haven't quite loaded in the next level properly. So Crash has to flap around in the air for a bit. Pretty amateur, pretty embarrassing, but I don't know. It's not the worst. It's not the worst thing. It's not the worst bug with the game.
No.
All right, Keith, I believe this is a design document that you've dug out of the archives.
This is a design document. So when I mentioned before about the battleship having the 5 different rooms, that wasn't always the case. It was very different early on. We'll just quickly look through the some of the gameplay mechanics that were proposed here, and I'll leave it on the screen for you to read. But you can see the paddle wheel is mentioned here, and we'll kind of talk about it in a second. Sharks leaping out of the water, yay! That's pretty good. Reusing stuff from the Balloon City from Evolution. Yeah,
I've completely forgotten about this. Balloon City was something I was working on. Apparently, there was a vent script from the Balloon City that we tried to rescue for this level.
Okay, yeah, because we're trying to reuse stuff that we used before. Collapsing platforms, missile platforms. These are interesting. So there would have been as you're going up, making your way up the mast, missiles, and I do remember seeing this. So this was prototyped. Missiles would stick in the mast. You about jump on them to make your way up.
Yeah, we used that in the final thing, didn't we?
I don't think we did.
We got missiles that come up and hover in midair with magic.
That's right. Yeah,
but they used to come sideways.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that was in the final game. The sideways one that stick in there. Walrus chase, lifeboats. So
I like the sound of those meat cleavers.
So the walrus guy would chuck them and you jump over them. The walrus guy, I know his name.
What's his name?
His name is Rusty Walrus.
Was he always called that, Keith?
We'll keep watching to find out. So we got that, and then what are the documents we got here? Let's have a quick look. It's page 2 of that. So pistons. Windmill script, so they took something from your windmill level, John.
Steam engine
governor. 2
metal spheres. Yeah, well, in the windmill level, I had things rotating. I don't know why you'd need to steal a script. It's pretty simple to rotate something.
And then a little layout here, which is very, very different from the final thing. So let's take another look at this piece of concept art here. And like I mentioned, that the access to the battleship has always been this little area here in the
Is there a reason why there's a big hole in the side of the ship?
I guess that was like somebody, I think it just, I don't know, somebody attacked engine.
I mean, there's a lot of missiles poking out of it.
Yeah, exactly, yes. It's all jam-packed with missiles. And then in the final game, in the prototype, you'd head in there and you'd head off to the left. However, in the initial idea, which was based on some geometry that we'd put together, and then I made some concept art to help visualize what it would look like, you'd head off to the right and you'd go towards the end of the ship. You'd make your way to the paddle wheel here. So you'd come in, engine himself would run along here, and you'd follow him through the middle of the giant wheel. You'd see some barrel crabs. You remember those guys?
I remember the barrel crabs that got replaced with standard crabs.
Standard hermit crabs. The barrel crabs would be back in this level. You had the sharks doing their little rotating motion over there.
Did the sharks end up in the game?
They didn't. They're in there as a background, but I don't think they're there as an actual enemy. So
weren't we going to do a Doc Ock level where Cortex got a shark on his head? Am I preempting your plans?
Yeah, we might get to that at some point, but again in another Triocean level. Yeah, so
I have to say that paddle wheel is almost too big.
Right. Yeah.
I just don't think you'd even see it. You'd just see a scrolling texture.
You're right. So you come across, so you come through here, follow around, then back up, and then you go onto the paddle wheel itself. So as the paddle wheel's going round, you'd be lifted up into the deck area. So you'd come up here, a little checkpoint there, run across it. And again, this was all, there was some mesh, some kind of like block level this created, because I know I worked with the designer who I can't remember who it was, but I sketched these based on screenshots of the actual
Keith, I was the only designer in Twinsanity. Have you forgotten?
Right. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Must have been someone moonlighting
somebody,
as a designer.
We hired in somebody we could just go off the street who came in to do it. Yeah. Running along here, and then these little snake barrels that'll snap out at you as you run by. Up this area here, chasing similar to the Donkey Kong style thing. These,
I was going to say, I'm getting deja vu from this as well.
Yeah. So this was used in the diagonal stairs in the actual rooms in the actual release battleship. But yeah. So you're going up here, engines swinging up there, you're following them up onto the deck. You got your Rhino pirates.
I've seen this before.
You got these guys. Yep. Them in the little net there. So. Various little things. I don't know if that was anything other than concept art.
I recognise that cannonball.
Right, yeah.
Is that where I copied?
So no, this one's got engine on, but yeah, the other one, it could have been. I don't know. Yeah, it could just have been an obvious thing to do.
What's happened with Crash? It looks like he's got about 10 years younger.
So this Crash here, I think we must have got in some manga books. So the Japanese Crash Bandicoot 4 comic strips.
Yeah.
I think this here, I drew Crash based on how he appears there. Just I must have been trying it out because I know Universal Japan maybe sent us some stuff. So I think that was So that's why he looks quite chibified here. A couple of little things there. You would have seen these already. This is the area where I mentioned.
New?
Yeah. So where the missiles came into the wall and you jumped up them, and this definitely was prototype because I remember seeing this.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Super Turrican on the SNES.
That's
right. Or is that? Am I thinking of a different game?
It was called Universal Soldier on the SNES, but it was.
There was a level. Maybe it was Contra, Super Contra on the SNES. You're hanging off missiles and jumping on missiles.
Yeah. And here's some footage from it.
Good stuff.
Quickly, but yeah, cool. Yeah, I do remember that.
But I'm pretty sure you didn't copy that, did you?
No, I don't even know who came up with the idea. I think it was in the design documents, and then obviously rocket platforms they were called. And then you'd continue. Maybe you've seen this in lower res. I'm not sure. These guys obviously winched on the little chains there as you get higher and higher up the ship. That area there, I think, was the bit that was built for the prototype boss fight that we saw. So either I drew this because that had already been modelled, or that was then based on.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Why has Engine decided he needs to outfit his battleship with rhinos on hooks?
Okay, the more important question is why rhinos and why snakes in a barrel? And that is an interesting question that I asked myself. And I don't know if this is true, but I thought, hang on a minute. In the Disney Robin Hood movie, there's a snake that's in a barrel, and there's some rhinos. Was that in my mind when I came up with these? Because
probably,
I think it probably was. Yeah, and I only just put that together.
Everyone of our generation is inspired by Robin Hood by Disney, aren't they?
Yeah. Okay, so carrying up, and then we go further up. There's some.
This has got to be new.
Yeah, this is new. Yeah,
this is proper level design.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you sure you're not a designer as well?
Well, I am. I have released a few games, John.
All right.
But yeah, anyway. So basically and again, I don't know if this was modelled up, but I believe it was in a very, very, very simplified geometry. But yeah, so you got the little boats to take you up, and then you go further up. I'm not sure you get up there. Another rhino there. As you then progress right to the very, very, very top to the crow's nest, which we saw that in the final game, a more mechanized version of that. We were just talking that we think a new artist came in probably around sometime in 2004 and really kind of added that visual flair to the battleship, which is why it looks so different from the prototype to how it does.
I think it's definitely one of the best looking sights in the game is when you see that.
Yeah, cool. So added that much more like technological, mechanical aspect to it, where before it was very wooden. So he would have done that to the Crow's Nest too. You've seen that piece there, and then falling down into the Walrus chase, which then would play out pretty much as we have in the final game. But yeah, so that's just an interesting.
Is this new?
Yeah, and I can't remember. I think this might be the Walrus chase. My idea for smashing through the various doors, right at the front of the ship in the corridors, with all the doors closing as you go through. So that's how it originally potentially would have played out. We did have some geometry, very basic geometry, and some gameplay stuff for it. Something about it just was overly complicated. I think to build it, make it visually look nice with all the open air space and everything was probably too much work for the little time that we had left. So then that's why it was then modified into being within those 5 consecutive rooms that's made it into the final game.
I'd say it's one of the more fleshed out with gameplay levels in the game, isn't it? Lots of cool stuff in that level.
So you can see it went through a lot of changes, but I like the Battleship because it features my favourite character in the whole game, and we'll talk about that now.
So Keith, I can see that this is your art style,
right?
And it is a picture of a walrus.
It is a picture of a walrus.
Tell us about this walrus.
Right, so this walrus is my favourite character in the game. I don't particularly know why, but he just really appeals to me. He's quite goofy and stupid. Not unlike someone else we know.
But jokes.
But the inspiration for him came from a favourite game of mine called New Zealand Story, which was an arcade game by Taito, and we can see a little clip here of the walrus.
Big memories.
Walrus that inspired him. He's called the leopard seal in Japan, but in America he's called Wally Walrus. And here he comes. He's a blue walrus. Obviously he doesn't look exactly the same, but that was the inspiration for him. So there we go. And the name, obviously his name is Rusty Walrus. Everyone knows his name is Rusty Walrus. That's his name.
I'd forgotten, to be quite honest.
Right. Okay. Well,
I just know him as the Walrus. In my
the
head.
Walrus Chef. Yeah, he was known as Walrus Chef. Rusty Walrus is his real name, regardless of what might be revealed now. During development, he did have an alternate name, and that name would make no sense to American fans. But if you're a British fan of around the early 2000s, there was a famous chef called Anthony Worrell Thompson.
And so what did we call the walrus, Keith?
So the walrus was originally called Anthony Walrus Thompson.
That is an absolutely hilarious joke if you're a
really
2004
funny.
era British person
Every
with a
year
bad
after
sense of humour.
The joke gets less and less interesting.
Keith, can you just in post bring up a picture of the walrus and a picture of Anthony Worrell Thompson so we can compare the two?
I shall do. Here they come now.
Right
there, look. There's one.
I'm seeing a slight resemblance.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of blubber in both, but that's where the resemblance ends for me.
And also the shoplifting.
Yummy fresh meat for my pot.
Keith, I couldn't help noticing the extremely high quality of the voice acting
the voice
Rusty
actor.
Walrus.
Okay, right. So as far as I'm
aware, I recognise that voice from somewhere?
If you were a fan of the 1980s show The A-Team, you might recognise the character.
I am a fan of that show.
Of Murdoch.
Howling Mad Murdoch.
Howling Mad Murdoch, played by Dwight Schultz, did the voice for Rusty Walrus. So
wow.
There you go. That's it.
Do we know why we chose him for the role?
We could probably find out.
Did he just do that one role?
No, I think he did. He might have done the farmer. He definitely did another role as well. Let's cut in here.
His IMDb page.
Yeah.
So we can see exactly what games he's worked on.
Yeah, what other ones he worked on. But yeah, I'm sure he did multiple characters. I think it could have been the farmer, Ernest. It could have been someone else. But yeah, he definitely. And we'll add it in. So keep your eye on the screen. Here. There. That way. Yeah, there. Cool.
So Keith.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to know what happened to Rusty Walrus after he failed to defeat Crash Bandicoot with his meat cleavers.
Right, so my understanding is that he would have fallen out of the ship itself into the depths of the ocean and grabbed onto the anchor, and then eventually in the deleted level, when the battleship rose from the depths of the ocean, there he is grabbing onto his dear life, trying to clamber to the surface. So he survived, and he'll be back in the very next Crash Bandicoot game.
Will he?
I don't know. I hope so.
Was he ever used again? Did they use him in any more games?
No, I don't think he was ever used again, no.
I'm afraid my knowledge of Crash Bandicoot kind of stops around 2005.
But no, he should be. He should... start a petition to get him in. We mentioned the rhinos before. Here they are. Is a couple of drawings of them. A couple of pieces of artwork.
Did they have cannons on their back?
And I don't. Yeah, they didn't have cannons on their back in the final.
That's a
game.
pretty cool idea.
Yeah, the idea was
kept
originally, cannons on the back, and they're swinging across, doing various different things. Here we go. Yeah, so no cannons on the back. They look pretty cool though.
Can you remember who modelled those?
Chris must have modelled
Was it
them.
Chris?
Yeah, they look like Chris. I'm pretty sure they. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Shark. Here we go. In the so shark, just a standard shark. This image of the shark that appears in the Unlockables is actually a concept piece from Crash 1, 2 or 3, I'm not sure which one.
Is it?
That's by Charles Zambellis, the original artist. We obviously made a mistake because I don't think we should have used his artwork.
Does he know we used his artwork?
Exactly, yeah, so that should have been the piece of artwork that we used, but somehow we used the wrong one, so...
I did not know that.
So yeah,
as far as I know, he signed away all rights to his own work
back
when he worked on the first game. So
Twin Santas.
I think we're safe.
It's safe, yeah, cool. Here we go, the Platypus guys. We talked about this before, but they were in the prototype. Here's some footage of them in there, removed from the final game. But they're pretty cool, yeah. Again,
but why they were working?
By Chris. Yeah, I think I can't remember why. I think
I just feel like we had no respect for work that we did more than like 2 months before we did anything. And it's like, get rid of it.
Okay, his bill's a different colour, but yeah,
he doesn't look too happy with his job.
No, because he was relegated to the rubbish bin. Cool, and these snakes as well. Yeah, I mentioned them before, and I think this pretty much must have been a Robin Hood influence. Just thinking back about it, and yeah, so you could winch them maybe out the way if they're in your path, possibly, and again they'd kind of snap out of the various barrels.
Can I say something interesting that's just occurred to me? We stole that snake from Robin Hood. Mm-hmm. Apparently, Disney's Robin Hood stole that snake from Disney's Jungle Book,
right?
Because they tended to reuse a lot of their animations. So the snake in Robin Hood, I think they just like traced over the animations from the Jungle Book. Maybe you could do a little collage to see whether I'm right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have the three of them here. Yeah. Cool. And then Monkey. So Monkey appears in the hub. I think he would have originally.
Does he have a pirate hat?
Exactly. Yeah. So I put this in here because I think he would have. There was some reason why he stole Engine's pirate. Just like a little kind of, maybe he was going to be on the battleship running around, but this is the Monkey from the hub with a pirate hat on for some reason. So yeah, these are all the creatures from the
But the monkey ended up in the Earth hub.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the battleship obviously was accessible from the Iceberg lab, but it wasn't always necessarily placed there. There was talk about it maybe moving locations just in case it didn't necessarily fit there. So here's a piece of a map of when we would have had the three islands in. So you got 1, 2, 3, and here it is placed off the beach, just outside the other side of the island, and we can see that this here exists because that's where it was originally going to be. So you can see the remnants of where the battleship went.
There is a skull on that island.
Yeah, there is a skull. Yeah, we talked about.
I don't remember ever seeing that in in game.
Yeah. So and then again, so we would played quite a few fighting games. A few of us Capcom fighting games in the office on the Dreamcast. Street Fighter Alpha 3, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. One of them was Capcom vs SNK 2, and when the battleship was being conceptualized, this stage here was referenced for the from Capcom vs SNK 2, and you can see the similarities because you've got the iceberg and the ship there. So that was used as a piece of reference. So yeah, just pop that on there also. And then
that's
finally,
pretty cool.
And then finally, second island again. If we ever got to building this, the battleship where it would end its journey after you complete the level, it would take you to this area on the beach of the second island. So it would transport you from the first island, from the iceberg lab to the second island, if that was going to be included. So things were put into place for that. And again, we've talked about this here. Again, it would potentially be repurposed in the tree level on the second dimension as a background assaulting kind of piece of environmental, stuff. Okay, stuff.
I think I understood what you was trying to say. That's
good. Read the cool. And here's one more deleted cutscene with Cortex to get back into his Coco disguise so that he could sneak aboard the battleship without being recognized by Engine.
I thought it best if I came in disguise. We don't want to attract the wrong kind of attention.
Now that's my kind of woman. Ahoy, my golden siren of the deep. I shall shower you with pearls and make you my sea bride. Dr. Cortex? How confusing.
He gets in a disguise again.
So Engine doesn't recognise him because he's sneaking aboard the ship. And some additional deleted cutscenes here where Engine swings in to grab him and take him up to the crow's nest. With all the excitement, we forgot to record an ending for this video, so here's one we created with state-of-the-art AI.
Thanks you very much for watching our Crash Bandicoots video.
Make sure that you subscribe and do not forget to crash that like button.
See you all next time for another exciting video.